What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, make sure the subscribe button down below, hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Now, in this video today, I'm going to be talking about the man, Lamar Jackson. And I'm going to be talking about, the MVP. I'm just going to be talking about his play, how unbelievable he's been. I'll talk a little bit, not as much about the contract, but the overall situation with the play it out kind of year and everything going on. So let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on Lamar Jackson so far this season, because he's been unbelievable. I can go over his passing stats right now. Spoiler alert, they're really good. Lamar Jackson, 63.6% completion, 749 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 119 quarterback ranking. And I mean, that's basically it. He's only thrown 88 attempts compared to guys like Josh Allen, who's thrown 132. But I'm just going to be talking about the situation as a whole. And I want to talk about the situation Lamar Jackson is in, because I think a lot of people going into these year, what do they call it? It's the prove it year, right? And whenever a player is playing out the last year on their contract, it's the prove it year. And I think a lot of people look at that and they're like, oh, it's that extra motivation. I'm going to say this. Lamar Jackson is not playing harder because he wants to win more money. He's not playing harder because he wants, that big contract. Lamar Jackson wants to win, and Lamar Jackson wants to play football. Those are his two motivations, and he's playing, every game of his career he has played as hard as he possibly can. And he has gotten better and better and better and better. And it just so happens that Lamar is playing in the final year of his career. And I think I think it's a very different situation from a guy like Aaron Judge, because I think that's the guy that gets compared, right? Because Aaron Judge in baseball right now is going out there and he's, I believe he's still at 60 home runs. 61 is the AL record. He's trying to do something unbelievable, because the thing at the start of the season was the Yankees wanted to give him a $200 million contract extension. And he said, no, I'm worth more than that. Someone's going to pay me more money than that, and I'm going to show everybody how much I'm really worth. Because there's a threat for Aaron Judge to leave the Yankees. And I know a lot of people watching this channel aren't big baseball fans, so I'll try to keep it limited, but there's a chance he can leave the Yankees. Lamar Jackson's year he's like, no, I don't really like that contract. I'm just going to keep playing. I'm under contract anyway. I'm just going to play it out. Lamar Jackson isn't threatening, oh, if you don't give me more money, I'm going to leave. He's saying, hey, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to get the money that I'm going to get paid for, this year under my rookie contract and then, franchise tag or whatever. And he's just like, I'm just going to play football and I'm going to do my thing. And he's not putting it with the emphasis, because he said, he's like, oh, this isn't a prove it year for me. This isn't betting on myself. And he's not doing it by blatantly saying, I'm betting on myself. He's going, let's just get this thing done. Let's get to work. And he's gone out there, and this season, I fully believe he is the fully front runner, or the true front runner in the MVP conversation. I think there's three guys when you're looking at the MVP so far this season. Again, super early, right? I think it's Lamar, I think it's Jalen Hurts, and I think it's Tua, right? Because Tua and Jalen Hurts, they're leading 3-0 teams. Hurts has been unbelievable. He's up there with the stats. But Lamar Jackson right now, if you guys haven't seen the numbers, Lamar Jackson has scored more touchdowns than every other team in the NFL. Individually, Lamar Jackson has done more than every other team in the NFL. So when people talk about, man, this Bills offense with Josh Allen, it's just so unstoppable. Nobody's going to be able to stop them whatsoever. Lamar's doing more than not just Josh Allen, but also Singletary, also Zach Moss, also James Cook. Lamar Jackson single-handedly putting the team on his back. And that's why the Ravens are 2-1 right now. But that is fantastic for the Ravens, because this is not sustainable long term, right? We can't expect Lamar to put up 4 touchdowns a game. I would love for it to happen. I'm rooting for it to happen. I would love for him to put up 5 touchdowns a game, but it's not sustainable. You need to start having other players step up. But the benefit is the Ravens are still getting players back from injury, right? They're still going to be getting Gus Edwards. J.K. Dobbins is going to get more healthy. He's going to get more of the workload. They're going to get Ronnie Stanley back. Nick Boyle is going to be a full go. all these players that are coming back, it's going to take the weight off Lamar Jackson more and more. And the other thing is the defense, because right now Lamar Jackson's needing to put up those types of points so the Ravens can win because the defense has been struggling. The defense is getting players back. They're bringing in new players, right? They're JPP with the Ravens this week. They're going to get Tyus Bowser back soon. They're going to get, Marlon and Marcus Peters. They're regaining their footing, right? They didn't play in the preseason. They're just trying to get back on track. And I think they played great last week, but they're trying to get back on track. The defense is just needing to mesh more, right? Marcus Williams is new into this system. This whole defense is new to this system with Mike McDonald. That's all working together. And then we're going to get David Ojabo, right? We're going to get, John Harbaugh talked about he thinks Brandon Stevens may not have been 100% back. So this idea that Lamar Jackson is just having to single-handedly carry the Ravens, that is true as of right now. The hope is he can burden the weight long enough to where the reinforcements can come, and then he can play like these other quarterbacks are, guys like Josh Allen, where his defense is, Rams aren't putting up 40 points against him, right? The defense is allowing limited points. Even the Miami Dolphins, they scored in the 20s against them. They put up over 40 against the Baltimore Ravens. So Lamar Jackson's having to do so much more than these other quarterbacks because his defense isn't doing as much, but the defense is going to get better. I fully expect that with time. But Lamar Jackson, I want to talk about his numbers. I want to talk about why he's the front runner for the MVP. First of all, he's leading the NFL in touchdown passes. And he's doing it on way fewer attempts, which just shows the efficiency that he has. Because the Ravens aren't running the ball extraordinarily well outside of Lamar, right? Lamar Jackson is 90% of this entire offense's makeup. And so when the Ravens get into that red zone, what were they trying to do against the Dolphins? They're trying to run that ball in. They're trying to punch it in with Lamar. They're trying to do all this stuff. And it's no. Let him throw in the red zone. And shout out to Greg Roman because last week, John Harbaugh talked about it in the press conference. He was like, hey, we need to stop trying to just force the ball where the defense is. This week, I think 4 of the 5 touchdowns were inside 10 yards. I think there was one that was the touchdown to Mark Andrews was more than that. But they were passing plays. And the run with Lamar wasn't a QB power right up the middle in goal line. Instead, they were able to mix it up. So shout out to Greg Roman. He was able to diversify. I like the play calling inside the 10-yard line. But that shows just how much of a threat Lamar Jackson is, that he's able to just go out there and throw the ball. He's able to move the ball by himself all the way up the field and then use his different skill set to make these big plays. The Ravens right now I believe are still one of the biggest big play teams in the NFL, which I think is kind of crazy because, when you're looking at it, from the Baltimore Ravens perspective, they have 10 plays of 20 plus yards this year. Pretty sure Lamar Jackson is the one that had every single one of those plays. And the NFL lead is 13, held by the Raiders, the Saints, and the Chiefs. So it's okay, the Ravens are still able to be explosive. And if for reference, the worst in the NFL is the Giants. But the Giants haven't played as many games. They've only played 2 games, but they only have 2. The Ravens are able to be explosive. They're able to have those, big plays. That's the same amount as the Buffalo Bills have, and everybody talks about how they're the most explosive offense in the NFL. Ravens are having these big plays because Lamar Jackson is making these big plays. Lamar Jackson rushing the football has been phenomenal because he hasn't been rushing the ball a lot, which I think is very different from recent years, where it's Lamar Jackson, how many rush yards he has? A lot of times when he's he had 100 rush yards, it's he ran the ball 18 times. This year, it seems he had a lot of rush yards. How many times you run it? And it's I ran it 9 times with a much more sustainable. He has 26 attempts, 26 rushing attempts, and he's tied for 4th in the NFL in rush yards, total rush yards. The leader is Nick Chubb. He has 62 attempts. Lamar in rush yards, if you don't know, he's 243. Lamar has 3 20-plus yard rushes, which is 3rd in the NFL. Leaders have 4. Lamar is 2nd in the NFL in 40-plus yard rushes. He has the longest rush in the NFL. And even in stats like rushing for first downs, where you wouldn't think Lamar Jackson would be that high because running backs, they get the ball all the time. Lamar Jackson has 11 rushes for first down. The leader has 17, which is Cordero Patterson, but second is Nick Chubb with 15. Again, these are players with 60 rushing attempts. Cordero Patterson has 49. But guys with 60 rushing attempts, 50 rushing attempts. Lamar Jackson is just behind them in terms of total production. And then you add in the fact that he's throwing for like 400 yards, or not 400, 220 yards per game. It's unbelievable. The way that he's able to play on this roster, the way that he's able to put up numbers, is just showing how unique he really is as a player. All these stats keep, after every week, it seems like stats come out that we've never heard of. Why? Because Lamar Jackson does things that are unheard of. And that's the difference, right? All these guys, a lot of the guys, some guys do stuff, right? And it'll be like, oh, wow, Josh Allen's the first person to do this since Rodgers in 2014, whatever it is, whatever stat it is. It's like, okay, that's crazy. And then it's like Lamar Jackson is the only player to ever do this. And he did it twice in a row. It's unbelievable what he's able to do. A stat came out just after this weekend. It's like Lamar Jackson is the first player in NFL history with back-to-back weeks with 3 touchdown passes and 100 yards rushing. Lamar Jackson has 4 such of those weeks. The rest of the NFL in history has 6. No player has more than 1. But Lamar just does that like it's nothing. And I wonder if, I hope so, if the narrative on Lamar Jackson, is it finally going to quiet down this year? Is it finally going to quiet down this year? Because Lamar's just putting up numbers. Like the people that are like, oh, Lamar Jackson can't do this. Like, well, he's led the league in touchdown passes before. He's doing it again right now. Again, it's only been 3 weeks, but he's doing it currently. He's top 5 in rushing. Lamar Jackson right now is the MVP of the NFL. He's definitely the MVP of the Ravens. Let me know your thoughts on Lamar Jackson. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for daily Ravens content. Joshua and I are going to be recording our podcast tomorrow, Tuesday. So stay tuned for that on podcast platforms. We'll be posting the segments as well. But thank you so much, and I will see all of you again